I stood in that courtroom, hands folded calmly in my lap, watching my husband of 42 years try to explain why he'd stolen $500,000 from our marriage. His lawyer was good, expensive suit, smooth voice, but no amount of polish could hide the truth that was about to come out. Robert looked confident. He thought he'd covered his tracks. He thought I was too trusting, too naive, too old to figure it out. He was wrong. I'm glad you're here with me. Please like this video and listen to my story till the end and let me know which city you're listening from. That way, I can see how far my story has traveled. My name is Helen Carter. I'm 63 years old. I was married for 42 years, and for 20 of those years, my husband was living a double life. This is the story of how I discovered the truth, gathered the evidence, and took back everything he tried to steal from me. Before I tell you about the betrayal, you need to understand what my life looked like. Robert and I met when we were both 21, college sweethearts. He was studying business. I was studying education. We married the summer after graduation, young and in love, and ready to build a life together. We had 2 children, Michael, now 40, Sarah, 38, both successful, both with families of their own, 4 grandchildren between them, the lights of my life. Robert built a successful consulting business. I taught high school English for 35 years before retiring 5 years ago. We lived in a comfortable house in the suburbs of Charlotte, North Carolina, paid off mortgage, good retirement savings, a life we'd built together, brick by brick. Our routine was comfortable, familiar, safe. Sunday mornings, we'd have coffee on the back porch. I'd read the paper. Robert would check his emails. We'd talk about the grandkids, about our week, about nothing and everything. Tuesday nights were date night. Nothing fancy, usually just dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant, the one where the owner knew our names and our usual order. Saturdays, we'd work in the garden together. Robert would handle the heavy work, the digging, the planting. I'd do the detail work, the pruning, the arranging, making everything beautiful. That was us, 42 years of routines, 42 years of comfort, 42 years of what I thought was love. Looking back now, I can see the signs I missed, the business trips that seemed to happen more and more frequently. Just a few days in Atlanta, honey, client meetings, the late nights at the office, big project deadline, don't wait up, the new clothes, the gym membership, the way he started caring about his appearance more than he had in years. Midlife crisis, our daughter Sarah had joked. At least he's taking care of himself. I'd laughed along, agreed, thought nothing of it, because I trusted him. 42 years of marriage teaches you trust, or so I thought. What I didn't know then was that trust can be a weapon, that the person you trust most can use that trust to hide the deepest betrayals. Our friends envied us. You two are relationship goals, our neighbor Patricia would say. 42 years and you still look at each other like newlyweds. At church, we were the couple people looked up to, the ones who'd made it work, who'd stayed together through thick and thin. Robert would hold my hand during services, put his arm around me, kiss my cheek. I thought we were happy. I thought we were solid. I thought we were forever. I was wrong about all of it. If you're listening right now, help me prove my granddaughter wrong. She said I cannot reach 1,000 subscribers with these stories, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard throughout the whole world. Help me show her that these stories matter. So please like and subscribe to my channel, and let's keep breathing life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. Turn on the notification bell so that you'll be in touch with all of my new videos. Now let's continue with the story. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday in March. I was doing laundry, Robert's shirts, dress pants, the usual. I always check pockets before washing, years of finding receipts, loose change, the occasional business card. That day, I found a receipt, Tiffany & Co., $3,147.52 dated 2 weeks earlier, Valentine's Day. My heart stopped. Robert hadn't given me anything from Tiffany's for Valentine's Day. He'd given me flowers, nice flowers, roses, my favorite, and we'd gone to dinner at our usual Italian place, but no jewelry, nothing from Tiffany's. I stood in the laundry room, holding that receipt, and felt the first cold whisper of doubt. Maybe it was for our anniversary. We had one coming up in June. Maybe he was planning something special. Maybe there was a perfectly innocent explanation. I folded the receipt carefully and put it in my pocket. That night at dinner, I tested the waters. How was work today? Fine, busy. The Henderson account is consuming everything. Any interesting meetings? Just conference calls, nothing exciting. He was relaxed, normal. If he was hiding something, he was hiding it well. Valentine's Day was nice, I said, keeping my voice light. Thank you for the flowers. Of course, you deserve more than flowers. The dinner was perfect too. I'm glad you enjoyed it. No mention of Tiffany's, no hint of a surprise gift coming. I pushed my food around my plate and said nothing. That night, I couldn't sleep. Robert snored softly beside me, peaceful, content. I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. The receipt could be innocent. Could be. But my gut told me otherwise. I'd been married to this man for 42 years. I knew him, knew his patterns, his habits, his tells, and something felt wrong. I slipped out of bed at 2 a.m., careful not to wake him, went to his office. His computer was password protected, but I knew the password, our anniversary date. He'd never changed it. I hesitated before logging in. This felt like a violation, like I was crossing a line. But the receipt in my pocket felt like a violation too. I logged in. His email was organized into folders: work, personal, family, bills. I clicked on personal, scrolled through the last month, receipts for business lunches, confirmations for client meetings, nothing unusual. Then I saw it, an email from SM with the subject line, "Thank you for yesterday." I clicked. "Robert, yesterday was perfect. The necklace is beautiful. I'll treasure it always. Can't wait to see you next week." S. My hands started shaking. The room felt too hot, too cold, both at once. I scrolled up, found more emails from SM. "Missing you. Tuesday can't come soon enough. You make me feel alive again." I clicked on sent items, Robert's replies. "You're worth every penny, sweetheart. Counting down the days until I can hold you again. My wife thinks I'm working late. She has no idea." My wife. He was talking about me like I was an obstacle, an inconvenience. I read email after email. The timeline went back months. No, years. The oldest email I could find was from 2004. 20 years. 20 years of "I love you," while he was saying the same thing to someone else. 20 years of business trips that weren't business at all. 20 years of lies. I closed the computer, walked back to our bedroom, looked at Robert sleeping peacefully in our bed, and I felt something inside me die. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet, cold death of the woman who'd trusted him, the woman who'd believed in us, the woman who thought we were forever. She was gone. In her place was someone else, someone harder, colder, more focused. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I didn't wake him up and demand answers. I did something smarter. I started planning. Over the next week, I became someone I didn't recognize. By day, I was the same Helen, made breakfast, ran errands, had lunch with friends. By night, while Robert slept, I investigated. I found more emails, hundreds of them, spanning 20 years. SM was Sarah Mitchell, 43 years old. She worked at one of Robert's client companies. That's how they'd met. 20 years ago at a business conference, their affair had started that first night, and it had never stopped. I found credit card statements Robert had hidden, a separate account I'd never known about, charges for hotel rooms, expensive dinners, jewelry, weekend getaways, all with her. While I'd been teaching teenagers about Shakespeare, while I'd been raising our children, while I'd been building our home, he'd been building a second life. The total amount he'd spent on her over 20 years? $487,000. Nearly $500,000 of our marital assets spent on another woman, money that should have been our retirement, our grandchildren's college funds, our future, gone. I found text messages he'd carelessly left in his phone. Can't wait to see you this weekend. Told H I have a conference in Atlanta. H. Helen. Me. Reduced to an initial. She's planning a surprise party for my birthday. So tedious, I'd rather spend it with you. That party. I'd spent weeks planning it. Invited all his friends, made his favorite cake from scratch. He'd smiled, said thank you, acted grateful, and the whole time, he'd wished he was with her. The worst part wasn't the affair itself, it was the pattern I discovered. This wasn't a mistake, wasn't a moment of weakness, wasn't a midlife crisis. This was systematic, calculated, planned. Every Tuesday he had a late client meeting. Really, he was with her. Every business trip to Atlanta. She lived in Atlanta. The gym membership he'd gotten 2 years ago. They'd meet there. Our date nights, the Italian restaurant where the owner knew us, he'd taken her there too. Different nights, same place. He was living 2 lives and doing it so smoothly I'd never suspected, until now. I found something else, something worse. A folder on his computer labeled Future Plans. Inside was a document, a financial plan. Robert had been moving money, slowly, carefully, into accounts I didn't know about. He'd been planning to divorce me. The timeline in his notes, our 45th anniversary, 3 years away. He was going to wait until then. Avoid looking like a cliché, he'd written. Make it seem natural, grown apart, empty nest, standard story. Then he'd divorce me, split assets 50-50 legally, but the money he'd already hidden, nearly $300,000, would stay hidden. I'd never know about it. He'd walk away with more than his fair share, leave me with less than I deserved, and start his real life with Sarah. I read that document 3 times, then I copied it, saved it to a flash drive, deleted my tracks, and I went back to bed. Robert woke up the next morning to me making his favorite breakfast, pancakes, bacon, fresh coffee. "What's the occasion?" he asked, smiling. "No occasion, just wanted to do something nice for you." He kissed my cheek. "You're the best wife a man could ask for." I smiled back and thought, you have no idea what's coming. I didn't confront Robert. Every instinct screamed to throw the evidence in his face, to demand answers, to scream and cry and ask why, but I didn't, because I'd spent 42 years being the emotional one, the one who cried at movies, who felt everything deeply. Robert knew that Helen. He'd expect that Helen to fall apart, so I became someone else, someone who planned, who strategized, who thought 3 steps ahead. I called my friend Margaret. We'd known each other since our kids were in elementary school together. She was a divorce attorney. "Margaret, I need to see you, professionally." "Helen, what's wrong?" "I'll explain in your office. Can you see me today?" The concern in her voice was immediate. "Of course. Come by at 2. Margaret's office was downtown, sleek and professional. She closed the door behind me and gestured to a chair. "What's going on?" I pulled out the flash drive. Robert's been having an affair for 20 years. He's stolen nearly $500,000 from our marriage, and he's planning to divorce me in 3 years to maximize his financial outcome. Margaret's eyes widened. "Helen, I have evidence. Everything. Emails, financial records, his planning documents. All of it." I plugged the flash drive into her computer. She read in silence for 20 minutes. When she finally looked up, her expression was a mix of fury and admiration. "Helen, you have a nuclear bomb here." "I know." "What do you want to do?" "I want to divorce him. Keep as much of our assets as legally possible. Make sure he doesn't get away with what he's stolen. And I want to do it on my terms, not his." Margaret leaned back in her chair. "Okay, here's what we need to do. First, we document everything. You've started that. Good. Second, we protect your assets. We need to move quickly before he realizes you know. How? We'll consult with a forensic accountant, find every dollar he's hidden, then we file first, catch him by surprise, present all of this evidence at once. Will it work? If what you've shown me is accurate and provable, absolutely. North Carolina courts don't look kindly on marital misconduct, especially financial deception. You'll get more than 50% of assets, possibly much more. How much more? 70%, maybe 80%. Plus, he'll have to reimburse you for what he stole. For the first time in a week, I felt something like hope. When do we start? Now. Over the next 3 months, I lived a double life. By day, I was Robert's loving wife. I made his meals, did his laundry, smiled and nodded while he talked about his day. By night, I was someone else entirely. Margaret introduced me to David Chen, a forensic accountant who specialized in uncovering hidden assets. David was thorough, meticulous, relentless. He found bank accounts Robert had opened in different states, investment accounts with my forged signature, property, a condo in Atlanta in a shell company's name. The total he'd hidden? $623,000, more than I'd even suspected. Your husband is good, David said, but he made mistakes. He got comfortable, sloppy. We can trace all of this. How long? 2 months, maybe 3. Then we'll have everything we need. I also hired a private investigator. His name was Marcus Webb, former police detective, now private. I need photographic evidence of the affair, I told him. Dates, times, locations, everything. Marcus delivered. Photos of Robert and Sarah having dinner, holding hands, kissing in parking lots, video of them entering a hotel together, time-stamped evidence that matched Robert's business trip calendar perfectly. Every Tuesday late night, every Atlanta trip, every lie documented. Marcus also did background on Sarah. She was divorced, no kids, worked in pharmaceutical sales. She wasn't some young mistress. She was age-appropriate, professional, someone Robert had chosen deliberately, someone he'd built a 20-year relationship with. That somehow made it worse. I kept a journal, documented everything. The nights Robert claimed to work late, I'd note the time he actually came home. The weekends he said he was playing golf. I'd track his car's location. I'd installed a GPS tracker. Margaret said it was legal on a jointly owned vehicle. Every lie, every deception, written down with dates and times. I was building a case, a comprehensive, undeniable case, and Robert had no idea. 4 months after finding that first receipt, I had everything. David had traced every hidden dollar. Marcus had documented the affair comprehensively. Margaret had prepared the divorce filing, but I wanted one more thing, a confession. In Robert's own words, North Carolina is a one-party consent state. I could legally record conversations without telling him. So I did. One evening in July, I made his favorite dinner, pot roast with roasted vegetables, homemade rolls, apple pie for dessert. He came home in a good mood, kissed my cheek. Something smells amazing? Just wanted to make your favorite. We ate. I'd hidden a recording device in my purse, which I'd left on the chair beside me. Audio quality was perfect. Over dessert, I started gently. Robert, can I ask you something? Of course. Are you happy? In our marriage? He paused, fork halfway to his mouth. What kind of question is that? An honest one. I want to make sure you're happy. He set down his fork, reached across the table for my hand. Helen, I'm happy. We're happy. Why would you even ask? I don't know. I guess I worry sometimes that after 42 years, maybe things get stale. Maybe you want something different. You're being silly. We're fine. Are we? He squeezed my hand. Yes, we are. I love you. You know that. The recording captured his voice perfectly. The lie, smooth and practiced. I pushed further. What about financially? Are we secure? Do we have enough saved for retirement? We're fine. I've been managing everything. You don't need to worry about money. I know you handle all that. I trust you completely, but sometimes I wonder if I should be more involved, know more about our accounts." His expression changed, just slightly, a flicker of something. Concern? Fear? Why? Has something happened? No, I just think maybe I should understand our finances better, in case something ever happened to you. Nothing's going to happen to me, and everything is organized. When the time comes, it'll all be clear. When the time comes. Meaning when he divorced me, when his plan came to fruition. "Okay, I trust you." He relaxed. "Good. That's what marriage is. Trust." I smiled. "You're right. Trust is everything." The recording captured it all. A week later, I staged another conversation. This time, I asked about his trips to Atlanta. "You've been going there a lot lately. The Henderson account must be huge." "It is, demanding clients, but it pays well." "Do you ever get lonely? All those nights in hotels?" He shrugged. "I'm used to it. Just part of the job." "Must be hard, though, being away from home so much." "It's fine. I manage." "Do you ever, I don't know, wish you were somewhere else? With someone else?" He looked up sharply. "What are you getting at, Helen?" "Nothing. I'm just saying, if you ever felt that way, you could tell me. We could work through it." "There's nothing to work through. You're overthinking things." "Am I?" "Yes, everything is fine. Stop worrying." But his voice had that edge, that defensiveness. The recording caught that too. What Robert didn't know was that I'd also recorded something else. Sarah had called his cell phone one evening while he was in the shower. I answered. "Hello?" Silence. Then, "Who is this?" "This is Robert's wife." "Who is this?" She hung up. But I'd recorded the number. Marcus traced it to Sarah Mitchell. I called her back the next day. From a burner phone Margaret had suggested I get. She answered. "Hello?" "Sarah, this is Helen Carter, Robert's wife." Sharp intake of breath. "I don't know what—" "Yes, you do. I know about the affair. I know it's been 20 years. I know about the condo, the trips, all of it." Robert says a lot of things. Most of them are lies. But here's the truth. I'm divorcing him. And when I do, I'm taking everything. The house, the savings, the retirement accounts, everything he's promised you, it won't exist. You can't. I can, and I will. I just wanted you to know. When this all falls apart, don't say I didn't warn you. I hung up, deleted the call log, destroyed the burner phone, and smiled. What would you do in my situation? Tell me in the comments. While I was gathering evidence, I had to maintain the performance, be the wife Robert expected, the one who trusted him, who didn't ask too many questions. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. Making breakfast while knowing he'd spent the night before texting his mistress, kissing him goodbye while knowing he was meeting her for lunch, celebrating our anniversary while knowing he was counting down the days until he could leave me. Every interaction was torture, but I didn't break. I smiled, laughed at his jokes, held his hand, and I thought about the moment when I'd finally reveal everything. That thought kept me going. Our 42nd anniversary arrived in June. Robert took me to the same restaurant we'd gone to for Valentine's Day, the Italian place. Our place. Or so I'd thought, until I learned he brought Sarah there too. 42 years, Robert said, raising his wine glass. Here's to many more. Many more, I echoed. We clinked glasses. I wondered if he'd brought Sarah here earlier that week, if they'd sat at this same table, if he'd said similar things to her. "You look beautiful tonight," he said. "Thank you. I got you something." He handed me a small box. Jewelry. I opened it. A bracelet, silver, elegant, expensive. "Robert, it's beautiful. You deserve beautiful things." I wondered if he'd bought Sarah something similar, or better. He usually did. "I love it, thank you." He reached across the table, took my hand. "I love you, Helen. You know that, right?" I looked at my husband, the man I'd loved for 42 years, the man who'd been lying to me for 20 of them. "I know," I said, and in that moment, I did know. I knew he loved me, in his way, as much as he was capable of loving anyone. But he loved himself more, loved his comfort, his double life, his freedom to have both of us. He loved having a respectable wife at home and an exciting mistress in Atlanta. He loved having his cake and eating it too, and he'd thought he could keep doing it forever. He was wrong. 2 weeks after our anniversary, Margaret called. "We're ready. Everything is documented. Everything is filed. We have court dates set. Are you ready to do this?" I thought about 42 years of marriage, the good years, the bad years, the children we'd raised, the life we'd built. Then I thought about 20 years of lies, $500,000 stolen, a secret life I was never supposed to discover. "Yes," I said. "I'm ready." "We serve him tomorrow, Tuesday morning. His routine day to work late?" "Yes." "Perfect. He'll be served at his office. Public, professional. He won't be able to hide it from his colleagues." "Good." "Helen, are you sure? Once we do this, there's no going back." I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. "I'm sure." "Okay, tomorrow it is." I spent that last night cooking Robert's favorite meal one more time, pot roast, the same one I'd made while recording him. "This is a nice surprise," he said, sitting down to dinner. I felt like cooking. We ate in comfortable silence. He had no idea that in 12 hours his entire world would implode. I watched him eating, scrolling through his phone between bites, probably texting Sarah, and I felt nothing. No love, no hate, no anger, just a cold, clear certainty that I was doing the right thing. "I'm going to Atlanta tomorrow," he said. "Henderson account again. Probably won't be back until Friday." "Okay? You'll be all right?" "I'll be fine." He smiled. "Good." After dinner, he helped me clean up, kissed my forehead, went to watch TV. I stood at the sink, washing dishes, looking out at the garden we'd planted together. And I said goodbye. Not to him, to the version of me who'd believed in us. She was already gone. Tuesday morning, Robert left for work at his usual time, 7:30 a.m. He kissed me goodbye like always. "Have a good day," I said. "You too. Love you." "Love you too." The lie tasted like ash. At 10 a.m., a process server walked into Robert's office at his consulting firm and handed him divorce papers. Marcus, my private investigator, was there, watching from the coffee shop across the street. He texted me a photo. Robert standing in the parking lot outside his building, papers in his hand, face white as a sheet. I stared at that photo for a long time. Then I got ready, because I knew he'd be home soon. He burst through the door at 11:30 a.m. I was in the kitchen, calmly drinking coffee. "Helen!" "Hello, Robert. What the hell is this?" He slammed the papers down on the counter. "Divorce papers. I would think that's obvious." "Divorce papers? What are you talking about? Where is this coming from?" I took a sip of my coffee, let the silence stretch. "Helen, talk to me. This is insane. We just celebrated our anniversary. Everything was fine." "Everything was not fine. What are you talking about?" "Sarah Mitchell." His face drained of all color. "What?" "Sarah Mitchell, your mistress of 20 years. Ring any bells?" He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do. I know everything, Robert. The affair, the money you've stolen, the accounts you've hidden, the condo in Atlanta, all of it." "You're being paranoid." "Don't." My voice cut through his denial like a knife. "Don't you dare gaslight me. I have evidence, emails, bank records, photos, recorded conversations, everything." His expression changed. Panic replaced denial. "Helen, listen to me." "No, you listen. I've spent 42 years listening to you, believing you, trusting you. That's over. This is a misunderstanding." "It's not. You've been having an affair for 20 years. You've stolen $623,000 from our marital assets. You've been planning to divorce me in 3 years to maximize your financial outcome. I have your planning documents, Robert, the ones on your computer. Future plans. Remember those? The panic turned to fear. You went through my computer? I did, and your phone, and your hidden email accounts, and the separate credit cards. I know everything. You had no right. I had every right. You're my husband. Those are our marital assets you've been stealing. He tried a different approach, softened his voice. Helen, please, can we talk about this? I know I made mistakes. Mistakes? You call 20 years of calculated deception a mistake? I didn't mean to hurt you. Yes, you did. You made a deliberate choice. Every day for 20 years, every time you lied about working late, every business trip to Atlanta, every dollar you stole, those were choices. I was confused. It just happened. Nothing just happens for 20 years, Robert. You chose this. You chose her. You chose to steal from us. You chose to plan a future without me while pretending we were happy. His face started to change. The mask of the apologetic husband was cracking. Fine, you want the truth? Yes, I had an affair. Yes, I moved some money around. But can you blame me? Do you have any idea what it's been like being married to you? There it was, the real Robert. Excuse me? You're boring, Helen. You've been boring for 20 years. Every day the same. Same dinners, same conversations, same life. Sarah makes me feel alive. She's exciting, fun. She actually cares about my career, my ambitions. I supported your career for 42 years. You supported me like a mother supports a child, not like a wife supports a husband. I needed passion, excitement, not pot roast and garden conversations. The cruelty in his voice was shocking, but also clarifying. This was who he really was, who he'd been all along. So this is my fault? Your affair? Your theft, your lies, that's on me? I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying I needed something you couldn't give me. And the money? The $500,000 you stole? Was that something I couldn't give you too? I didn't steal anything. I managed our money. You hid it in secret accounts, in property I didn't know about. You forged my signature. I was protecting our future. Our future? Robert, you were planning to leave me. Your own documents say so. You were going to divorce me, take the hidden money, and start over with Sarah. Don't you dare pretend this was about protecting us. So what? Yes, I was planning to leave because I'm miserable, have been for years. But I stayed. I stayed because I'm a good man. I provided for you. I gave you a good life, while having another life entirely. So what? Lots of men do it. At least I stayed. At least I didn't just abandon you. I stared at my husband, this stranger wearing Robert's face. You think you deserve credit for staying while having an affair? I think I deserve credit for maintaining this marriage for your sake, for making sure you were taken care of. You maintained it for your sake. You wanted both lives, the respectable married man and the exciting affair. You wanted to have it all. Yes, is that so wrong? Why should I have to choose? And there it was, the core of who he was. Selfish, entitled, believing he deserved everything without consequences. Well, you're about to find out what choosing consequences looks like. What does that mean? It means I'm taking you for everything you've got. The house, the retirement funds, everything you tried to hide, all of it. You can't do that. I can, and I will. I have the best divorce attorney in Charlotte. I have forensic accountants. I have evidence of every dollar you stole, every lie you told. You're going to pay back every penny. Plus, you're going to lose half of what's left, maybe more. His face went red. You vindictive bitch. I stood up, looked him in the eye. No, I'm a woman who's done being stolen from. This will destroy me. You destroyed yourself. I'm just making sure you face the consequences. What about Sarah? Did you think about her? She'll lose everything too. I don't care about Sarah. She knew you were married. She chose this too. Whatever she loses, she earned. You're going to regret this. No, Robert, I don't think I will. He left, slammed the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. I stood in my kitchen, shaking slightly, and realized something. I'd been terrified of that confrontation, of finally facing him, of hearing the truth. But now that it was over, I felt free. The worst had happened. The lies were out. The mask was off, and I was still standing, stronger than I'd ever been. The divorce proceedings moved quickly. Margaret filed everything. The evidence was overwhelming. Robert hired an expensive lawyer, Gregory Stone, slick, confident. My client made mistakes, Stone argued at the first hearing. But Mrs. Carter is being vindictive. She's asking for an unconscionable portion of marital assets. Margaret stood up. My client is asking for what she's legally entitled to. Your client committed marital misconduct. He had a 20-year affair. He stole over $600,000 in marital assets. North Carolina law allows for unequal distribution in cases of misconduct. We're asking for 75% of assets, plus full reimbursement of the stolen funds. Judge Patricia Hendricks reviewed the evidence. Her expression grew increasingly severe. Mr. Stone, your client's conduct is appalling. This isn't a simple case of marital breakdown. This is systematic financial deception combined with a decades-long affair. Your Honor, my client provided for his wife throughout their marriage. With money he was simultaneously stealing from her. Counselor, you're not helping your case. The preliminary ruling was clear. I got temporary possession of the house, access to all remaining joint accounts, protection from further financial manipulation. Robert was furious. He moved in with Sarah, finally got the life he'd wanted. From what I heard through mutual friends, it wasn't going well. The depositions were brutal. Robert had to sit across from Margaret and answer questions under oath. Mr. Carter, when did your affair with Sarah Mitchell begin? 2004. And it continued for 20 years? Yes. During that time, did you ever consider ending the affair? Sometimes. But you didn't? No. Why not? Because I cared about her. More than you cared about your wife. Different. Not more. Different. Margaret pulled out bank statements. Can you explain these charges? $3,147 at Tiffany's, $8,200 at the Ritz-Carlton, $12,500 for a cruise to the Caribbean, all while your wife believed you were on business trips. I wanted to treat Sarah well. With your wife's money? It was my money, too. Marital assets are shared assets, Mr. Carter. You spent over $600,000 of shared money on an affair. Do you consider that fair to your wife? No. Do you feel remorse? Silence. Mr. Carter, do you feel remorse for your actions? I regret hurting Helen, but I don't regret Sarah. She made me happy. Margaret let that statement hang in the air. Let it be recorded for the record. My deposition was different. Gregory Stone tried to paint me as vengeful, unreasonable. Mrs. Carter, isn't it true you're asking for 75% of marital assets purely out of spite? No, I'm asking for what the law allows in cases of marital misconduct. You want to punish your husband? I want him to face consequences for his actions. Consequences that include financial ruin? He brought that on himself. Don't you think 75% is excessive? I think 20 years of lies and over $500,000 stolen is excessive. 75% seems proportional. Stone tried another angle. Mrs. Carter, did you ever suspect your husband was having an affair? No, never? In 20 years? No, I trusted him. So you were naive? Margaret objected, badgering the witness. Sustained. But Stone had made his point. or tried to. He wanted to make me look foolish for not knowing, but the judge wasn't buying it. Trust isn't naivety, Mr. Stone. Expecting honesty from your spouse is reasonable. Next question. The trial date was set for October, 6 months after I'd filed for divorce, 6 months of living alone in our house, of Robert living with Sarah, of the truth being out. I spent those months rebuilding myself, took up painting again, something I'd loved in college but abandoned over the years, started having lunch with friends regularly, realized how isolated I'd become, how much of my life had revolved around Robert's schedule, spent time with my grandchildren, took them to museums, parks, movies, built memories that had nothing to do with their grandfather's betrayal, and I prepared for court. Margaret coached me. Stay calm, answer questions directly. Don't let Stone bait you into anger. The evidence speaks for itself. I won't give him the satisfaction. Good, because Helen, you're going to win this. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've never seen a stronger case. The trial lasted 3 days. I testified on day 1, calm, composed, factual. I told the court about discovering the affair, about finding the financial records, about the systematic deception. Mrs. Carter, how did it make you feel when you discovered your husband had been having an affair for 20 years? Margaret asked. Devastated, betrayed, but mostly angry. Not just about the affair, though that was bad enough. About the money. He'd stolen our future, our security. That wasn't passion or a mistake. That was calculated. Theft. What do you want from this divorce? I want what's fair. I want the assets I'm entitled to. I want him to repay what he stole. And I want to move on with my life. Do you still love your husband? I paused, considered the question honestly. I love the man I thought he was, the man I was married to for 22 years, before the affair started, but that man doesn't exist. He might never have existed. So no, I don't love Robert. I don't even know who Robert really is. Robert testified on day 2. He tried to play victim. I made mistakes, I admit that, but I was lonely. Helen was always busy with her teaching, with the kids. I felt neglected. So your affair was her fault? Margaret asked on cross-examination. No, but she contributed to my feeling isolated. Did you ever communicate these feelings to your wife? Suggest marriage counseling? Try to work on your marriage? No. Instead, you started an affair? It wasn't planned, but it continued for 20 years. That requires planning, doesn't it? Hotel reservations, cover stories, hiding money. I didn't hide money. You opened bank accounts your wife didn't know about. You purchased property in a shell company's name. You transferred over $600,000 out of joint accounts. That's not hiding money? I was managing our finances. For whose benefit, Mr. Carter? Because from these records, it looks like you were managing them primarily for your benefit and Sarah Mitchell's benefit. Robert's composure cracked. I provided for Helen. She had everything she needed. Everything except honesty. Everything except fidelity. Everything except the money you stole. I didn't steal. You took marital assets without your wife's knowledge or consent. What would you call that? Stone objected. Judge overruled. Robert looked at me across the courtroom. I looked back, unmoved. He'd lost, and he knew it. David Chen, the forensic accountant, testified on day 3. He walked the court through every hidden account, every transfer, every dollar. In total, Mr. Carter moved $623,000 out of marital assets over a period of 15 years. He did this systematically in amounts small enough not to trigger immediate attention, but large enough to accumulate significantly. Did Mrs. Carter have access to this information? No, he used separate banks, separate statements, email accounts she didn't know about. In your professional opinion, was this accidental? Absolutely not. This required deliberate planning and execution. Margaret showed the jury charts, graphs, timelines, made it visual, undeniable. Stone tried to poke holes, failed. The evidence was overwhelming. Closing arguments happened that afternoon. Stone went first. Ladies and gentlemen, marriage is complicated. People make mistakes. Yes, Robert Carter had an affair. Yes, he managed money in ways his wife didn't know about. But does that mean he should lose everything? Does one mistake— 20 years isn't one mistake, Margaret interrupted on objection. Sustained. Mr. Stone, please focus on the evidence. Stone wrapped up weakly, asked for 50-50 split, called my request for 75% vindictive. Margaret's closing was devastating. This case is simple. Robert Carter had a 20-year affair. He spent over $600,000 of marital assets on that affair. He hid money. He planned to divorce his wife on his timeline in a way that would maximize his financial benefit and minimize hers. This isn't about revenge. It's about consequences. It's about fairness. Mrs. Carter gave 42 years to this marriage. She deserves to be made whole. We're asking for 75% of marital assets, full reimbursement of the $623,000 stolen, and we're asking that Mr. Carter be held accountable for his actions. Because if we don't hold people accountable, what message does that send? That you can lie for 20 years and face no consequences? That you can steal from your spouse and keep the money? No. Justice requires consequences, and that's what we're asking for here. Justice. She sat down. The courtroom was silent. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. I waited in a conference room with Margaret. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "Numb, nervous, ready for this to be over. It will be soon." When we were called back, my hands were shaking. The jury filed in. None of them looked at Robert. That was a good sign. "Have you reached a verdict?" "We have, Your Honor." "Please read it." "In the matter of Carter versus Carter, we find in favor of the plaintiff, Helen Carter. We award her 78% of marital assets, full reimbursement of $623,000 in documented stolen funds, plus interest, and award her the marital home, primary custody of all joint accounts, and full access to retirement funds." I closed my eyes. It was over. I'd won. Robert stood up. "This is bullshit. She's destroying me, taking everything." Judge Hendricks slammed her gavel. "Mr. Carter, control yourself or you'll be held in contempt. She's vindictive. She's— Bailiff, remove Mr. Carter." They escorted him out, still shouting. Sarah was in the gallery. She looked devastated. I felt nothing for her. After, in Margaret's office, she poured me a glass of wine. "You did it. We did it. No, you did it. You gathered the evidence, you stayed strong, you didn't break. I'm in awe of you, Helen. I don't feel victorious. You won't. Not yet. But give it time. This was justice, and justice feels better than revenge ever could." I drank the wine. Let the victory sink in. I'd done it. I'd faced Robert, exposed his lies, taken back what was mine, and I'd survived. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I was living a life I'd never imagined. The house was mine, quiet, peaceful. I'd redecorated, removed everything that reminded me of Robert, new paint, new furniture, new memories. I'd started a book club with friends, and we met every Thursday evening, drank wine, talked about novels and life and everything. I'd taken up watercolor painting, turned the spare bedroom into a studio, spent hours getting lost in colors and brushstrokes. I traveled, took a trip to Italy with my daughter Sarah, saw the places I'd always dreamed of seeing but never had time for. My life was full, rich, mine. Robert was struggling. I heard through mutual friends that he'd moved in with Sarah permanently. They were living in her small condo in Atlanta. On his reduced income, he'd had to give me 78% of everything, plus pay back the $623,000 with interest. They couldn't afford much. Sarah had left her job. Apparently, the scandal had made things uncomfortable. They were living on Robert's reduced consulting income. barely getting by. I didn't feel sorry for them. They'd made their choices. My grandchildren came over more often now. Without Robert's presence, the house felt lighter, freer. "Grandma, are you happy?" my youngest granddaughter asked one afternoon. We were in the garden, planting tulips. "Yes, sweetie, I am." "But you're divorced. Isn't that sad?" "Sometimes divorce is the happy ending. Sometimes staying would be sadder." She thought about that. "Grandpa was mean to you." "Yes, he was. I don't like him anymore." "You don't have to like someone to love them. He's still your grandpa, but you get to decide what kind of relationship you want with him." "I want one like I have with you." My heart swelled. That sounds perfect. Robert tried to reach out a few times. Letters, emails, asking to talk, to explain, to reconcile. I never responded. There was nothing left to say. He'd made his choices. I'd made mine. We were done. One evening, my daughter Sarah called. "Mom, I need to tell you something." "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. I'm proud of you for everything you did, for standing up for yourself. You taught me something important." "What's that?" "That it's never too late to choose yourself. That loving yourself isn't selfish. That you can be a good wife, a good mother, a good person, and still demand respect." I started crying. "Thank you, sweetheart." "No, thank you for showing me what strength looks like. People ask me if I regret the divorce. The answer is no, not for a single second. Walking away from a 42-year marriage was the hardest thing I've ever done. But staying would have been harder. Staying would have meant accepting lies, accepting theft, accepting that I deserved less than honesty. I deserve better than that. We all do. I learned something important through this. Trust is earned, not given. And when someone breaks that trust, systematically, deliberately for 20 years, you don't owe them anything. Not forgiveness, not a second chance, not your future. You owe yourself peace, dignity, respect. And sometimes the only way to get those things is to walk away. Robert thought he could have it all. The stable wife at home, the exciting mistress in Atlanta, the hidden money, the double life. He thought I'd never find out, and if I did, that I'd be too afraid to do anything about it. He underestimated me. A lot of people underestimate women my age, think we're too old, too set in our ways, too afraid of being alone. But I learned something. Being alone is better than being with someone who makes you feel alone. And I'm not alone. I have my children, my grandchildren, my friends, myself. That's more than enough. What would you have done? Would you have fought back? Tell me in the comments. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening to my story. To anyone watching this who's discovered betrayal, you are not crazy. You are not overreacting. Your pain is valid, and you deserve better. Gather your evidence. Protect yourself. Get the best lawyer you can. Find and fight, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect, because you deserve a life built on truth, not lies. My name is Helen Carter. I was married for 42 years. For 20 of those years, my husband lived a double life. He stole from me, lied to me, planned to leave me. But I discovered the truth, gathered the evidence, and I took back my life. Today I'm free, happy, strong, and I wouldn't change a thing.